Am I audible? Yeah. Am I audible? The management industrial relations. Now we are going to enter into the another topic, that is block, fifth block, that is a contemporary issues in international relations. So in this, 3, 13, 14, 15, would explain about the International Labour Organization ILO, contemporary issues in management of IR, and international relations in international perspective. So let's see what is what, one by one. So what is the contemporary issues in international, sorry, industrial relations? What are the contemporary? That means emerging issues are this industrial relations. So it encompasses current changes, current challenges, and trends in the relationship between employers, employees, trade unions, and government. Here, who are the players? Who are the beneficiaries in that way? There is a some challenges are there. What are the challenges? Employers, employees, trade unions, and the governments. All these four in between, that relationship is going to be there. So in that industrial relations, what are the contemporary changes are there, challenges are there, trends are there? Let's see. As the workforce and business environment continue to evolve, new issues emerge, demanding adaptive policies and policy practices in IR. So, if we want to see the contemporary issues, we have to see look about the new issues. What are the new issues are there? What are the demanding adaptive policies? What is required to the industry? What is required to the organizations, or to the employers, or to the unions, or to the government, and what are the practices are there in the industrial relations. So here you can see here some are key conduct issues are there. Changing workforce dynamics. What is that? That workforce was changed. So what are the dynamics here? Diversity and inclusion, millennial and Gen ZX Gen workforce expectations, remote and hybrid work models. So these are three are some of the things also is there. So diversifying diversity and inclusion with a more diverse workforce across gender, ethnicity, age, and ability, there is a growing need to ensure fair representation, inclusively, and equal opportunities. So diversify. When we are going to diversifying, we have to diversify certain things. We have to look about diversity certain things like in terms of gender, in terms of age, in terms of their ability, that employees ability, and at the same time that the employees ability. There is a growing need to ensure fair representation, inclusivity, and equal opportunities. And millennial and Gen Z workforce expectations. So, younger generations prioritize flexibility, work-life balance, meaningful work, and ethical corporate practices, which can clash with the traditional workplace norms. So, here some generations, younger generations used to give some priority to their career, prior to their work style, how they are going to work life and balancing their work life, and how they are meaningful working for that organizations. So ethical corporate practices, what are the ethical corporate practices which can clash with the traditional workplace norms? So these are the millennial workforce expectations, remote and hybrid work models. The shift toward remote work has introduced new challenges in terms of monitoring performance, maintaining team cohesion, and ensuring equitable treatment of in-force and remote employees. So we can also see that remote employees means that they are going to be there in a different locations. They are not come to the one particular place, but they are split into different places. So here hybrid work models. So as a con- organization industry, they are going to providing in a multiple way, work from home, work from office. In both way, the hybrid work will be done. So depends upon the importance, depends upon the work necessity. They are calling as per their requirement. So otherwise, they can do work from home only wherever the employees there. Technological advancements and automation. So another part is that automation and job security, data privacy and surveillance, and digital communication. So this rise of artificial intelligence, AI, robotics, and other automation technologies can replace certain jobs, leading to job insecurity and a demand for reskilling and upskilling. So in automation and job security, that artificial intelligence that replaces the robotics and other automation technologies, because these advanced all AI technology now all institutions, industries are going to implementing these automations for reskilling and upskilling. So we have to look about that reskilling and upskilling that is important to the organization. But what about job security to the employees? So job means the employer should work for that organization. So and they should have a security in terms of their nature of the work. their experience, based upon their gender, and some other things. Data privacy and surveillance. With increased use of digital monitoring tools to track productivity issues around employee, privacy and data security have become more prominent because nowadays we are going to using 5G, 6G up to technology. There are a number of latest technology are going to be placed in different organizations. It depends upon their um, requirement. They are adapting technology. Once they are going to train up their employees, so that employees sometimes they would use misusing. There is a chance to misuse it. Sometimes there is no certain things to misuse it. So these technological data privacy and service also one of the prominent factor in this organizational level. And digital communication, the shift to digital platforms for communication has blurred the line between work and personal time, affecting employees' work-life balance and contributing to burnout. Digital communication, not manual communication, not any some other horizontal, some other communication. Nowadays, every organization is not applying digital communication from the existing manual communication to digital platforms. Gig economy and non-standard employment. So here, what is the gig economy and non-day standard employment? About here, rise of gig and contract workers, lack of benefits and protections, employment status and rights. So platforms like Uber, Amazon, and the freelance marketplace have increased gig and contract-based employment, raising questions around job security, benefits, and paid wages. So definitely, those who are good working in Amazon, Uber, or else Ola, or else Zomato, Swiggy, so there is no job security. But as much they as contact their work, they can survive. So otherwise, then they're not going to work and they don't get even good wages also. Lack of benefits and protections. Gig workers often lack traditional employee benefits like health insurance, paid leave, and retirement plans, which has spurred calls for private policy changes and protections. So workers can lack traditional employee benefits. Sometimes some organizations are not going to providing health insurance and retirement plans in terms of insurance or some other after getting the 60 years, which has spurred calls for privacy change and protections. Because if we don't provide these things, and all the employer is not going to getting any, uh, no, they're not getting any employee security. So non-standard employment is going to be there when they are not providing this organizations and employment status and the rights. There is an ongoing debate over whether gig workers should be classified as employees or independent contractors, which has implications for their legal rights and protections. So there is a one thing ongoing debate over whether a gig worker should be classified as employees. So the workers, those who are, they must have uh, a classified employees, independent contractors, which has implications for their legal rights and protections. Every employer should have significant rights in their organizations. So employee well-being, uh, being and mental health. So, mental health support, work-life balance, and health and safety. So, stress, burnout, and mental health issues are increasing recognized as a critical workplace issues, especially in high stress industries. So all organizations used to that work stress they are going to provide. They're sending the work to the employees, so they're not maintaining certain stresses and burnout. So that's the reason they have to provide health support to the mental health support to the employees and work-life balance. So with remote work boundaries between work and personal life have blurred, leading to increased stress and burnout. There is a growing demand for flexible working arrangements, shorter work weeks and comply. So instead of 6 days, they should provide a 5 days a week or else some complementary works hours should be assigned to the employees. Then only they can uh, work and also manage their balance. Well, they can also manage their life. Health and safety. Ensuring health and safety in the workplace, especially post-pandemic, has become a primary concern in industrial relations because every employee is going to work independently without taking much stress or pressure in their work. So then, after pandemic also that employees not able to work in a systematic or in a no time to time work. So here the hybrid mode also is there, and it depends upon that they can also working and also providing their contribution to the organization. So with the companies adopting stricter policies to protect employees' well-being, labor rights and wage inequality. And minimum wage and fair policy. A debate continue over the adequate minimum wages, especially in the light of rising living costs. Issues like wage theft, pay transparency, and gender pay gaps remain significant. Yes, we used to see these wage theft. Sometimes wage theft is going to be there in these industries. At the same time, pay also is not going to be there equally. That is not a transparency at all. And they're also showing some partiality in this organization's level. So gender, in terms of gender payments. So these are one of the important factors that we have to overcome and we have to eradicate in this organization's level. Collective bargaining and unionization. So the increase of labor units is often weakened by change in work arrangements and legal challenges. The gig economy in particular has seen struggles to establish union representation. So collective bargaining. So that organization people should work collectively. Then only they can get a whatever the company has fixed to the particular department, particular segment. Then only they can reach out. Otherwise, if you are going to fixing, not going to following, nothing is. If you don't implement, if you in terms of implementation, if you are not going to introducing these um, collective bargaining, so they don't get it. So rights to organize. Legal challenges have emerged around the right to unionize and bargain collectively, particularly in tech and service industries where unions are less common. So rights are important to the organization level. Ethical and sustainable business practices. So, as a company, they should maintain that they should sustain with the CSR activities. They must provide this contribution in terms of welfare, in terms of money, economical, in terms of responsible. So employers increasingly expect expect employers to take ethical stances on social issues like climate change, diversity, and community involvement. This shift affects employee satisfaction and retention. Why? That companies are going to providing the CSR activities. The employees should feel that the company is going to working ethically, so that is will give more satisfaction to their employees and environmental sustainability. So Here, this explains about the environmental impact that drive companies to adapt to sustainable practices. The employees warning employees to contribute to eco-friendly policies and practices. So, as a environmental sustainability, um, sorry, yeah, environmental sustainability, they must provide these environmental uh, arrangements or also facilities in this organizational so that explores about that ethical and sustainable business practices in the artist level. At the same time, corporate governance and accountability. Every company should be maintain accountability, transparency about their work strengths. So here that corporate governance is the transparency management, ethical decision making are important to many workers. Legal and regulatory compliance. So labor law reforms and global and trade agreements. Governments worldwide are re, reforming labor laws to adopt new employment models and improve work protections. For example, laws around gig work are being revised in some countries to provide workers with more benefits because the existing employees they used to demand that is obviously but when come to this artist level they have to look about the working reforms how are going to be there how that organization is going to be providing this employment and the issues and the globalization trade organization globalization affects IR through cross-border labor standards, competitive labor markets, and multinational company policies. So, labor markets and multinational company policies. Companies operating globally must compile, compile with varied laws and standards. Example of contemporary international relations issues in practice. How that going to be there in this practical way? So Amazon and employee monitoring. Amazon uses of AI, artificial intelligence, and data tracking to monitor employees' productivity has raised concerns over privacy, job stress, and worker autonomy, prompting some workers to seek seek unionization. So this Amazon company they are also monitoring and also implementing this artificial intelligence. So there is a productivity that raised the concerns over the privacy. Uber classification of drivers. So in various countries, we know about that Ubers. So almost all they used to use that Uber service or Ola service in a life once in a life. So when you go and see the Uber classification of drivers in various countries, Uber has faced um, legal benefits. So those days what happened? There is no certain thing that the driver should consider employees with benefits or independent contractors. Courts have ruled differently based on regional level laws impacting Uber's prices globally. So this driver's classification, it may be in the globally or else it depends upon the regional level, like India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, or else Norway, Uruguay, or what other countries, according to their thing, They are also maintaining these laws that countries has to provide the laws. Mental health initiatives in tech companies. Tech giants like Google, Microsoft are increasingly implementing mental health problems such as access to counseling services and time off policies to address high stress levels in the industry. So these uh, tech giants like Google, Microsoft, they are providing implementing mental health program to their employees to high stress. They should maintain high stress levels in the industry if when that problem is going to be there in the organizational level. So international labor organizations, ILO. What is that ILO? The International Labour Law Organizations is a specialized agency of the United Nations dedicated to promoting social justice and setting international labor standards. So, this ILO was established in 1999 as a part of the Treaty of Versailles that ended World War One. So before that means when that World War is going to be there in the world, so that time in 1919 only that international labor organization was established, and this ILO became the first UN specialized agency in 1946. When UN United Nations is going to operating the services to the nations. So that time this ILO was there in 1946. That was recognized by the United Nations. The ILO is a unique in its tripartite structure where representatives of governments, employers, and workers work together to create balanced labor practices and standards. So, what are the key concepts of International Labour Organization? So, here the decent work agenda, international labor standards, tripartite structure. What is the decent work agenda? The ILO central mission is to promote decent work for all, which includes creating jobs, guaranteeing the rights at work, providing social protections, and promoting a social dialogue. So the company is going to providing. So the decent work will explain about the uh, international law organizations. In that only we can understand that that organization is going to be important in terms of socials. And the international labor standards. The ILO establishes international labor standards in the form of convention. Convention is nothing but it's legal or binding agreements. So here these standards convey the ASR cover the such as child labor. No. So convention legally binding agreements and recommendations that is non-binding guidelines. These standards cover key areas such as child labor, forced labor, workplace safety, and gender equality. So in these organizations, they are also maintaining some standards in this global level with a legally binding agreements. Legally binding agreements. And tripartite structure. What is the tripartite structure? The ILO governance is shared equally by governments, employers, and workers. These are the tripartite structure because all industries should have a governments. employers and workers, making it unique among UN agencies and ensuring a balanced approach and approach to policy making. The key objectives and the principles of the ILO. The ILO operates with the core belief that lasting peace and prosperity, unique fair treatment of workers. It's a subjective unknown as a decent work and it focuses on. So, what is the rights promoting? How to promote the rights at the workplace? That's one of the key objective of the ILO principle. So, the ILO advocates for fundamental process and the rights and such as the freedom from forced labor, freedom from child labor, and the right to collective bargaining and the right to equally pay. So they have given uh, some freedom from forced labor. So we want to that sometimes some organizations are going to work with laborers. So if they employees they are come don't do they don't think about it. So when it comes to these promoting the rights, the organization should provide in effective way and efficiently. Then only that other companies will think about that. Now encouraging employment, improving social protection, and strengthening dialogue. Vaishnavi, are you able to listen, Vaishma? Vaishnavi,
Yes, sir.
are you able to listen my voice?
Yes, sir.
Right. So, encouraging employment, improving social production, and strengthening dialogue. So, here that ILO, International Labor Organization, is to encouraging the employment, encouraging the employment. So, these organizations, the ILO promotes the policies that create sustainable jobs and economic growth, emphasizing equal opportunities because we have discussed about the tripartite structure that is the government's organizations and workers. So in this tripartite structure, everyone will work this to contribute the economy to the nations. That's the reason even employers should get the employment from the employers. So this ILO is playing that role and they're emphasizing about the equal opportunity and improving social protection. Yes, here they're ensuring that all workers have access to social protection such as health care, retirement security, and unemployment benefits is the key priority. This ILO is promoting or improving the social protection in terms of health cards or health benefits to the employees. Retirement security after getting retirement, they should get some gratuity fund at the end of the end of the after superannuation of the employees, and also um, strengthening the dialogue. The ILO fosters dialogue between governments, employers, and workers to promote peaceful and constructive labor relations. So these things are going to providing um, um, to the organizations because that organization is strengthening that employees production levels and they are going to providing all these um, work style and work nature in the to strengthening the employees and this ILO is fostering about this factors. And what is the structure and governance of the ILO? The ILO operates a um, tripartite structure. Tripartite structure meaning its big wings together response representatives from the governments, employers, and workers that we discussed. So here, these companies, these organizations should employ, this for fostering the work at a different phenomena. So there are a number of things there in the work culture and the work diversity. So this representative from the government employees. So the structure ensures that labor standards policies reflects a balanced perspective among stakeholders. So those who are the employers, they are going to working in. So in this main governing body, the International Labor Conference meets annually to set labor standards and policies, while the governing body oversees the organization activities. So organizations used to um, um, artists used to provide uh, these conferences and governing body activities. They used to monitor, they used to give suggestions, they used to recommend suggestions, they used to change that activities. So and the artists should concentrate on these organizations, ILO conventions and the recommendations. So what are the recommendations as should provide to the employees? And these organizations should have a conventions that is in a legally agreed binding agreements and international treaties um, that are legal binding into treaties that countries can ratify the incorporate um, incorporate their um, own labor laws and some of the um, conventions because hmm, so the policies forced labor conventions in 1930 and 29 it prohibits all forms of forced labor. So the conventions recommendations they are as per 1930 some conventions are there that agreements are there that was completely prohibits in this artist level and the freedom of association and production have the rights to organize the convention. So as per 1948, number 87. So guarantees workers and employers the right to form organizations. So organizations should give a privacy to form the organizations. That is the trade unions in this organization level. So they should provide that flexibility and they should encourage them to the work about these things. And worst forms of Child Labor Convention 1999, number 92, focuses on eliminating severe forms of labor. So there are no companies are allowed to um, recruit the laborers as a uh, child laborers in this organization. So um, they have to eliminate these child labor activities in this artist level. And recommendation, these provide guidelines on labor standards but are not legally binding. But these are not legally binding, but these activities are also part of the important in this artist level. The key initiatives and campaigns. So the ILO conducts various global campaigns and initiatives. That is IPEC. So International Program on the Elimination of Child Labor and Better Work Program, Global Commission on the Future of Work. So it IPEC aims is to eliminate the child labor particularly in most harmful forms. So that is the initiative or campaign taken by the ILO to eliminate that labor, child labors in these organizations. So nowadays, any company not eligible, not right to recruit the child labors before mm, 18 age. So after that, they have a maturity age, but before that, they are not eligible to work in these organizations and industries. And a better program. So, what is the Better Work Program? A partnership with the International Finance Corporation to improve working conditions and comprehensions in this garment industry. So, that International Finance Corporation has to improve the working conditions, the competitiveness. So, they can also focus on the artist level. So, Global Commission on the Future of the Work and an initiative to address how trends like technology and climate change are transforming the world of work. So the Global Commission on the Future Worker, that initiative to addressing about the trends like technology and the climate. An example of ILO working pact. So the eliminating child labor. So the worst forms of these are examples that was taken initiative by the ILOs. The worst forms of child labor conventions and attitude adopted by the ILO in 1999 has been widely ratified and aims to eliminate severe forms of child labor, including slavery, prostitution, and hazardous works. So, as per these Act under Section 182, these are completely prohibited in this industrial level. So, about the slavery of work, prostitution, and also hazardous works. An example, in countries like Brazil, the ILO has collaborated with the governments and NGOs to reduce child labor in agriculture through initiatives like the International Program on the Elimination of Child Labor. IPEC, the ILO has supported programs to provide education and family assistance, reducing economic pressures that lead to child labor. So this ILO has taken initiative in the Brazil. They are promoting about the financial assistance and education and supporting the education and reducing the economic pressures on the people and improving conditions in the garment industry. The ILO Better Work Program um, works with the government and garment manufacturers in the countries like Bangladesh, Vietnam, and Cambodia to ensure safe working conditions, fair wages, and respect for workers' rights. So, India, they are they're seeking for the better work program in this Bangladesh, Vietnam, and Cambodia. Example, following the Rana Plaza collapse in the Bangladesh in the 23 to 13, the ILO collaborated with the international brands, local employers, and the government to improve building safety standards and worker protection. The Better Work program has since helped factories implement safer practices, increasing worker safety and well-being. So the ILO was worked in these to improve that work conditions in the Rana Plaza when it was collapsed in Bangladesh. So they have involved these matters to give a better work programs and supporting workers' rights and domestic employment. The Domestic Workers Convention at Section 189 adopted in 2011, it provides the rights and the protection for um, domestic workers such as fair wages, defined working hours, and protection against abuse. So these domestic abuse convention was there in 2011 onwards, but to supporting the workers' rights in the domestic employment. For example, in countries like South Africa, the convention has led to new legislation granting domestic workers the rights to minimum wages, working hours, and social protections, helping bring dignity and security to a largely informal workforce. So the ILO plays a critical role in shaping global labor standards, ensuring that economic growth it aligns with the fair treatment and social justice for workers. Because the international labor organizations are playing a critical role. Why it is shaping the global labor standards? So sometimes as countries to countries there may be varies. So they're fixing some standards across the go globe, all the international level, all India, all countries should follow some standards to ensure that economic growth. Because if the company is recruiting childs, some companies recruiting gender based, so they're eliminating all these things. So if you recruit all people in working, those who are workable persons, that can create a economic growth alliance with a fair treatment and it aligns justice for workers. At the same time, through its conventions, research, and initiatives, the ILO helps create safer, fairer, and more productive workplaces worldwide, promoting dignity and equality for all the workers. So, if you provide all these standards, if you are going to maintaining that labor standards, that even companies can also get a good productivity of the work. At the same time, they can also workers are also get the dignity and respect this organizational level. So they can also get a equality for their work. So these are the ILO about the international labor organizations. So now we can discuss about this contribution management of IR and another part is that IR IR international perspective, how it's going to be there. So today we have discussed about the contents about what is the contemporary issues in it, IR, and what is the International Labor Organization. So we are going to we have discussed about this ILO and the contemporary issues in IR. So tomorrow we are going to discussing about contemporary issues in the management of IR and international perspective. So these two concepts are there. So after that, we are going to concluding, are going to no, winding up with the complete management of industrial relations. So in doubts, Vaishnavi.
No, sir. It's clear.
So as of today, we have discussed about the contemporary issues in international relations. At the same time, we have also discussed about the International Labor Organization. So these are the discussions. So contemporary issues in the industrial relations, changing in workforce dynamics, technological advancement, automation, gig economy, non-standard employment, employee well-being and mental health, and labor rights and wage inequality, ethical and sustainable business practice, and also legal and regulatory compliance. So that are the part of contemporary system HR. So you can also see the examples of the IR. So Amazon of employee monitoring, Uber classification drivers, and the mental health initiatives. So that is about the contemporary issues. When you see the International Labour Organization, so ILO, there is important part is that tripartite structure. What is the tripartite structure? Private sector is nothing but government, governments, employers, and the workers. The three representatives are known as the triped structure in the industrial level. And what are the key concepts of the ILO? So here the decent work agenda, international work standards, labor standards, triped structure. And you can also see some objects of the and habits and principles of the international labor organization. So what is that? What is the promoting rights of the work, rights at work, and encouraging employment, improving social protection, and strengthening the dialogue of the ILO. And also can also see about the structure and the governance. What is the structure? Why? What is important here? Every company should conduct some conferences to meet their objectives and to make some policies, to make some recommendations, to give some suggestions to the industries. And also all companies should have a governing body, because the internally how that company is going to working, how they are going to implementing, how they are going to managing, how they are going to utilize the resources, how that organizations are going to providing that services and benefits to their employees. Everything should be controlled and monitored by the governing body. Governing body generally 3 months or 6 months or yearly once they used to meet. They used to discuss about their issues. What are the things are there? They used to put some items as an agenda to get an idea and to get a solution about this industrial level. So but also we have also discussed about the ILO conventions and recommendations. That is the conventions and forced labor conventions as the 1930, and the freedom of association and the protection of the rights to organize conventions 1948, and also worst forms of child labor conventions and recommendations. We can see all these things as a conventions and recommendations. So the initiative is also taken by the ILO, that is the IPEC, International Programs on the Elimination of Child Labor, uh, child labor, and a better work program, and a global commission on the future of workflows. So, okay, also some ILO has taken some examples, that is eliminating the child labor. So, child labor work is not acceptable at any point of time, and improving the conditions in the garment industry. So, you can also take an example of this, taking how to improve the better work in this organization level, and supporting the workers' rights in the domestic employment. So, domestic workers convention is one of the examples to the, like example of South Africa, that implementing this domestic workers convention. So, this way, ILO is playing a important role about the social justice, social justice of the workers, and productive workplace worldwide, and safer, fairer, and promoting dignity, equality for all the workers. So I'm stopping now. We will discuss about the contemporary issues in the management of IR, and also what are the implemented things in the this IR international perspective, how it is going to be there in the international perspective. So I'm stopping now. I will discuss about these concepts in the next class. That is tomorrow. Okay, ma'am?
Okay, sir. Okay.
Right, right.
Thank you, sir.
Right, ma'am.